Evan Mendoza has been an offensive dynamo for NC State. He's hitting .380 in the midst of a 20-game hitting streak, a huge reason why the Pack has been camped out in college baseball's top 10.
This season I've really prided myself in just grinding out every day, making sure I'm doing something every day to better my baseball skills.
And talk about skills, Mendoza's success is even more impressive when you consider how rarely he saw the field last season. Used primarily as a pitcher, Mendoza had a grand total of 3 at-bats without a single hit.
He just came to me, last spring, and he started out in the rotation. And he can't, Coach, I just can't pitch it once a week. He said, I want to play.
The answer was a spot in the infield. Mendoza was State's opening day starter at third base, and once he got his chance to play every day, he made the most of it.
You have to be patient in this game. Not everything's going to happen right then and there when you want it to. That's something that I think this past year has taught me.
There's an old joke in baseball that a player hitting below 200 is below the Mendoza line. That's named for Mario Mendoza, a light-hitting shortstop back in the 70s. NC State's Evan Mendoza is redefining the Mendoza line, raising the bar a lot closer to 400. Ken Medlin, WRAL Sports, Raleigh.
All is a numbers game, batting average, ERA, streaks of success, streaks of failure. NC State's Evan Mendoza is on a hot streak that everybody's talking about. Ken Medlin tells the story.
Evan Mendoza has been an offensive dynamo for NC State. He's hitting .380 in the midst of a 20-game hitting streak, a huge reason why the Pack has been camped out in college baseball's top 10.
This season I've really prided myself in just grinding out every day, making sure I'm doing something every day to better my baseball skills.
And talk about skills, Mendoza's success is even more impressive when you consider how rarely he saw the field last season. Used primarily as a pitcher, Mendoza had a grand total of 3 at-bats without a single hit.
He just came to me, last spring, and he started out in the rotation. And he can't, Coach, I just can't pitch it once a week. He said, I want to play.
The answer was a spot in the infield. Mendoza was State's opening day starter at third base, and once he got his chance to play every day, he made the most of it.
You have to be patient in this game. Not everything's going to happen right then and there when you want it to. That's something that I think this past year has taught me.
There's an old joke in baseball that a player hitting below 200 is below the Mendoza line. That's named for Mario Mendoza, a light-hitting shortstop back in the 70s. NC State's Evan Mendoza is redefining the Mendoza line, raising the bar a lot closer to 400. Ken Medlin, WRAL Sports, Raleigh.
All is a numbers game, batting average, ERA, streaks of success, streaks of failure. NC State's Evan Mendoza is on a hot streak that everybody's talking about. Ken Medlin tells the story.
Evan Mendoza has been an offensive dynamo for NC State. He's hitting .380 in the midst of a 20-game hitting streak, a huge reason why the Pack has been camped out in college baseball's top 10.
This season I've really prided myself in just grinding out every day, making sure I'm doing something every day to better my baseball skills.
And talk about skills, Mendoza's success is even more impressive when you consider how rarely he saw the field last season. Used primarily as a pitcher, Mendoza had a grand total of 3 at-bats without a single hit.
He just came to me, last spring, and he started out in the rotation. And he can't, Coach, I just can't pitch it once a week. He said, I want to play.
The answer was a spot in the infield. Mendoza was State's opening day starter at third base, and once he got his chance to play every day, he made the most of it.
You have to be patient in this game. Not everything's going to happen right then and there when you want it to. That's something that I think this past year has taught me.
There's an old joke in baseball that a player hitting below 200 is below the Mendoza line. That's named for Mario Mendoza, a light-hitting shortstop back in the 70s. NC State's Evan Mendoza is redefining the Mendoza line, raising the bar a lot closer to 400. Ken Medlin, WRAL Sports, Raleigh.
All is a numbers game, batting average, ERA, streaks of success, streaks of failure. NC State's Evan Mendoza is on a hot streak that everybody's talking about. Ken Medlin tells the story.
Evan Mendoza has been an offensive dynamo for NC State. He's hitting .380 in the midst of a 20-game hitting streak. A huge reason why the Pack has been camped out in college baseball's top.
Hello. Hope we are doing good. My name is Evan Mendoza. I forgot to go live over on Instagram. Shoot, my bad. Let's do that right now. All right, welcome in to another episode of the Mendoza Line. I am your host, Evan Mendoza. I played 7 years of professional baseball between the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres. I'm here to give you guys as much valuable baseball content as possible. Guys, if you stick around into the end, I'm going to share with you guys basically a little bit of tips, of course, about my whole baseball career. We're going to get a little bit more lighting in there. There we go. And yeah, guys, just stick with me. And of course, if you have any baseball-related questions, feel free to ask. Dylan, welcome in. I've seen you in here a ton, so I appreciate your attendance. By the way, guys, if you have any baseball-related questions, also, the thing that I think is just really interesting, you guys have been loving the player breakdown, the player profiles. So I'm going to do those to anybody that you want to you want me to break down basically where you're currently at. Oh no. Am I frozen? Am I frozen to everyone or just you, Dylan? Maybe just try coming back in, and hopefully that does the fix. But yeah, you guys have been loving the player profiles. So if you guys want me to go over like where you're currently at, again, graduation year, positions, 60 time, EV, and we can do like guess the level or whatever the case may be, and then arm velo, and then basically level. So that way you have an understanding of like where you might be able to stack up against the competition. And again, that's what the purpose of these lives are, to give you guys good quality understanding on like where you're currently at, where you're trying to go. Of course, if I can even help you. And we got Coco in the background making some noise. But yeah, guys, if you have any baseball related questions, that's why I'm here. Like I said, my name's Evan Mendoza. I played 7 years of pro baseball, and let's get into today's episode. All right, first timers, G-ball, let's go. I forgot to mention that's something, shame on me. So if this is your first time, G-ball, you don't have to, but if this is the first time that you're ever joining into the Mendoza Line, feel free to drop a baseball emoji down below. We are streaming here on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So welcome in if this is your first time, and welcome in, G-ball, to you. Curious to know, it looks like you might be a parent of a player, maybe a player. But yeah, curious a little bit on like graduation year, things like that. I've been posting a lot more iPad content over on Instagram, on TikTok even, on YouTube Shorts, and even on like YouTube long form. And I love it. By the way, it's just easy to communicate things with you guys. But you guys have really loved the whole player profiles, which is basically where I break down where you're currently at, what some gaps might be in your current setup, and ultimately where I give a little bit of like a guess on where you could potentially fall with where you're currently at. By the way, I'm not a college baseball coach. Never have said that I am or would be. Ethan Atkins, you're 2028. Ethan, if you want me to kind of do a player profile, dude, all you have to do is drop all of these metrics down below in the chat. So yeah, if you want me to do a player profile, you definitely can. I'm definitely not opposed to it. I'm going to start off with, before we get into really today's episode, a couple of this or that's, just because I think they're always fun. So let's get into it. I don't know if you can see the dogs in the background, but they're tip-tapping a little bit because we have some weather here in North Carolina. I think we had a tornado watch for like half of the day. It wasn't anything super crazy, but okay, let's start with this. Let's start with T-work versus flips. And by the way, a lot of you guys do know that the way that I like to go about this, Taz to it. If you're a player or a parent, I would love to know a little bit more about who you guys are. G-ball, Taz to fit. Yeah, welcome into the Mendoza Line. This is a live stream to give you guys education on baseball mentality, development, and recruiting, especially for those high school baseball players. So, and as you guys know, I like to record sometimes these lives. How do I manage being a student and a baseball player? I'm going to get that here in a second because I'm about to record, but ultimately time management skills, it's something that I teach my students, and it's ultimately very, very important. So let's get into the first this or that. All right, this or that, tee or flips. So personal experience just throughout professional baseball, guys, I love flips, and a lot of my teammates did as well. I would say probably 70-30. About 30% liked tee. The rest, we kind of just went right into flips. And not only for like an efficiency standpoint, but like the practicality. When you're hitting off of pitchers in the big leagues or at any level, you're not hitting it off of a stationary ball. We're not playing golf out here. I love golf, but golf is very hard. Baseball, it's actually very easy when we're hitting it off of the tee. So I want to replicate everything that I do like a game scenario. So that's why I choose flips. Flips, by all means, it's not necessarily the most realistic. There's other ways to reenact like the ball flight of a pitcher by doing darts. Darts are basically like flips from a similar distance, maybe a tiny bit further back, but ultimately that overhand dart feeling. So that way the hitter has the trajectory of how that ball is going to enter into the hitting zone. So that's why I like to prefer flips, because we're trying to recreate game-like scenarios as much as frequently possible in our training. And of course, tee is kind of like the complete polar opposite of game-like reps. Yeah, but ultimately, okay, parent of an incoming high school freshman. So yeah, I mean, I work with 8th graders all the time. But as far as, really the development side of things, this is when your son might be starting the process of like getting curious about the gym. And that's totally fine. If he's already in the gym, props to him, props to you. Because that is, a part of the process of getting physically developed as soon as humanly possible. It's only going to help if we develop. We're not talking about peaking, sophomore year of high school, because of course we want to peak as late as possible, believe it or not, or peak multiple times. And there's nothing wrong with that. Let's do player profiles, because I think you guys liked that, especially from a lot of the comments. So yeah. By the way, I woke up ultra early this morning and did some, I don't even know what I want to call it, boxing. I did a boxing class at my gym. I've been getting into these classes recently. They're a lot of fun. It's also a great way to start off your Monday morning, is to throw some punches. So, I definitely enjoy it. So, let's do some playing profiles, and let's keep that. Actually, you know what I'm going to do right now, because I always forget. Every single day I forget to keep this as a second layer. And there we go. We're going to keep that guy all the way at the top so I don't forget. And then we're going to draw on this guy. All right, so player profiles, guys. How this works is, if you want me to do a player profile on you or your son, just give me the essential metrics, so that way I can give an understanding on like where you're at, and it gives me some context. Eduardo, what up, goat? How we doing, my man? Yeah, but tee is good for mechanical work. It absolutely is. I prefer to use that time for flips, to do that mechanical work on flips, rather than, again, off of the tee. In my mind, doing tee work, though, it makes me overly aware of my mechanics. When in the game, when you're hitting off the pitcher, when you're hitting Coach BP, Yo Souls, what do you mean? What Yo Souls? I report him. I don't know what you're talking about, my man. I feel like if I'm hitting off of flips, I have the ability to think about my mechanics to the extent I should be in the game, right? Which shouldn't be super high. You can be aware of your mechanics, but I think hitting off the tee makes you like get into positions that you typically wouldn't be in the game. So, like I said, guys, let's go ahead and get started with some player profiles. I'm gonna go ahead and delete all of this to make it just that much cleaner for the viewers over on Instagram. And where'd that line come from, guys? Did someone draw that line? Was that me? I don't know. Anyway, we will delete this and then we'll get started. We have some over in the chat, so just bear with me, as it looks like it's my first time ever doing this. Guys, this is episode, holy cow, this is like my first time doing this, because I forgot to do my favorite thing ever. And as you guys know, I like to make sure that we move this guy over to the next day. Today's episode 46. Today's a Monday, guys. All right, my man. All right. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. Let's just take a second. This is all fun and games until it's not, and people don't know how to act, but it is what it is. Ethan, dude, you're like 4 years old. Holy cow. By the way, that's hit the gap. I don't even know. Anyway, all right, we're getting back into it, so sorry about that, guys. Parent with an incoming freshman. Okay, we're just checking up on chat. Okay, we're good. Okay, guys, let's get into today's episode of the player profiles. All right. And what I like to do is record these, and we will get our... Wait, yeah, so Trey, if you want me to do a player profile, just send me over all your metrics and stuff like that in the chat, and I'll go through this process. All right. Guess the level, 2026 shortstop right-handed pitcher. That's exactly what I was. We got a 95 exit velocity. We got an 88 arm velocity and a 6.760. That's definitely pretty solid. As far as what this type of player could be playing at, in my opinion, we're looking at like a D1 or D2, in my opinion. So arm velo across the diamond, 88. That's exactly where you want to be. 95 exit velocity, in my opinion, that's like pretty solid. I would like, if we're really trying to pick apart where we could definitely make a little bit of improvements, we can get closer to that 100 EV off the tee with a wood bat. A 6.760, that's pretty solid. And you're playing a primetime position. You also have that backup as a pitcher. So this is definitely going to help you out in the long run of getting a recruitment, or getting a scholarship, I should say, because how coaches will view you in the recruiting process is exactly what was told to me when I was a two-way, because I was a shortstop and a pitcher. You get a 2-for-1. Has anybody gone to the grocery store and gotten like 2 cartons of milk for the price of 1, right? Buy 1, get 1 free. Same idea if you have the ability to actually play both of those positions at the college level. So in my opinion, D1 or D2, depending on these metrics, of course, if there is maybe that one highlighting metric that helps you really stand out, if we can get that, arm velo up to like 93, it's going to really make college coaches drool over you. If we can get that EV over, 100 plus, that's going to make these coaches drool over you and definitely help you get into that category of D1. If we can get that 60 time down to like a 6.3, for example, again, these coaches will start drooling over you because you have that one tool that really separates you from the rest. All right, next up, who we got. Guys, by the way, if you want me to do a player profile, all you got to do is quite literally comment down below in the chat your metrics, so that way I have a better understanding. We're going to be using some comments from Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. That's just the way that I roll, and that way you guys know exactly what I am going over. And then that way you guys can also like kind of guess as well. I always forget to turn Do Not Disturb on, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I have it on work. Why is it not working? Funny. All right. Let's go. Baseball finally started. Let's go, Trey. Hype me up. We do have about like 45 minutes until the World Baseball Classic games are going to start up, so that's always exciting. I do have a call at the top of the hour, like I have been for almost every day, which is always exciting. All right. Guess the level. We got a 2027 in the house. We got an outfielder, left-handed pitcher with a 92 EV. We got an 87 arm and a 6.560. Holy cow, that's definitely good. So 2027, we're looking at a junior in high school right now. Outfield, we definitely want that 60 time to be up, so that definitely checks the box there. Exit velocity 92. I mean, if we're balancing between the 60 time and the power, I'm okay with a 92 exit velocity because of the 60 time. Also, it would be helpful to understand like height and weight and things like that. But for the most part, EV is kind of checking out, especially for a junior. Arm velocity 87. If you're a center fielder, it would make sense, especially with your 60 time. An 87 though, in my opinion, it's good enough. The only thing I will say, I don't know if this 87 is off the mound or if it's from the outfield. If it's off the mound, left-handed pitcher, 87 miles an hour, yes, please. But if you're an 87 out of the outfield with a curl hop, with that momentum that we know at showcases that you're able to get, 87, like we can get up to 92, 93 in, by senior year, and that's exactly where we would want to be, especially with the left as a lefty. So outfield arm is always going to be easier to get, crack that 92, 93 mark. Where you're off the mound, not with that momentum, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So I don't know what that 87 is. So in my opinion, just because you're a lefty, you're super, super quick. Again, I would probably put you in that D1 to D2 category because, again, you have the speed to be a center fielder. You have the exit velocity that kind of balances with your 60 time. As far as the arm velocity, you could technically pitch as a left-handed starting pitcher at the D1 level. Our Friday night ace at NC State threw about 85 to 87, and he was about 5'10". So just to put that in perspective, if you know how to pitch, you can definitely play at a higher level than what most people would probably say. So yeah, that's just always one of my favorite stories because I always admired pitchers that knew how to pitch. And our Friday night guy, Brian Brown, he's from Pennsylvania, I believe. He really knew how to pitch. He had a disgusting changeup. And again, 83, I'll give him 85 to 88, maybe 87 mostly. This is where he sat as a 5'10", maybe 160 pound Friday night ace in the ACC, guys. D1 level. D1. Yes, D1. That's who our ace was all 3 years that I was at NC State. So just keep that into your perspective. We did have a couple of commenters over on YouTube. So we got let's actually record this. And by the way, as I'm going through this, if I have any questions, who is this? G-Ball, feel free to type away, help me out with any context that I might need. All right. Guess the level. We got a 2029 first base, 6'9", 60. We got a 98 exit velocity and an arm of 83. Ooh, okay, so exit velocity definitely checks. That's really, really solid, especially for 2029. That's awesome. I had a 2028 2 years ago with around the same exit velocity, and he is turning into an absolute killer. So 2029, we're looking at a freshman, I believe, 2026, 27, yeah, to freshman. First base, again, guys, the more away from the center. So these are going to be more of the athletes. The further away from the center, so again, first base is away from the center, we need to have that power component in our bout. Of course, that's going to help in the whole college recruiting process. Having a 6'9", 60, that actually helps a ton because that's also the ability to potentially play a more athletic position than first base. As far as an 83 arm, that is a little bit low, but again, we are talking about a freshman. I was not throwing 83 my freshman year. So of course, that's exciting to be where we're at right now. With, of course, how we're training and, of course, how we're rotating, that's going to help not only this, but also this expand and possibly break that 100-mile-an-hour mark. I'm also curious what that 98 is, if it's off of the tee, if it's off of machine, if it's off of, basically any type of coach BP. These are all the different areas that, technically machine BP is going to give you the highest exit velocity. My highest exit velo off of a machine, I think, was 108, 109. And that's with a wood bat when I was with the St. Louis Cardinals, and that's TrackMan, one of the more trusted and consistent, trackers, right? Rapsodo was a little bit, it would fluctuate. Hit Tracks was typically one of the worst, but TrackMan is one of the best sensors, I guess you can call it, or cameras, whatever you want to say. So I was hitting 108, 109 off of a machine. Off of the tee, I could probably break 100 with a wood bat, but barely break 100. So keeping that in context helps us understand. And then same thing with what I mentioned on the last person, where that arm velocity is, right? If it's off of the mound, it's going to be different than off of the from the outfield, right? And he's a left-handed thrower, so that makes sense. So if he's, I don't know if he's a left-handed pitcher as well, but again, that's going to really pigeonhole him into really these 4 positions or 5 positions, right? First base, pitcher, right field, center field, left fielder. Especially with the speed, he can definitely pan out more as an outfielder than a first baseman. If he has good size, then maybe he's a better first baseman. If he likes to pick it, that's also great as well. But yeah, I would say with where he's currently at, like we're looking at potentially, again, D1 or D2. I don't want to stay redundant, but ultimately with the right training and of course with the right recruiting side of things, we want to make sure that these college coaches know who this player is sooner than later, because these college coaches, to kind of build out another board, so to speak, this is going to be when, like, this is going to be August 1st of this individual's like junior year. And this is when technically beyond college coaches can contact that specific player, right? But before, this is the area that we can definitely be outreaching, again, like basically outreaching to these college coaches saying, hey, my name is, here are my metrics, especially as a freshman. And this is where these college coaches will build their pipeline of these are the players that I want to recruit as August 1st is approaching. Of course, after August 1st, this is going to be where, you know, you obviously feel the recruiting is done the right way, or you're kind of left behind because we didn't take action before, you know, sophomore year. All right, so he's a left-handed thrower. That definitely gives me some understanding as well. Okay, let's see. Catching up on some. We got Garrett. How we doing, Garrett? We got 007 Junior. I'm a freshman with an EV of 89. Is that good? Yeah, that's pretty solid, dude. I don't know. So weirdly enough, exit velocity was not tracked when I was in high school. So like I have no idea what to compare it to. But one thing I will say is, so I think it was 2 years ago. I had a guy, JT Taylor, out of Boston. He's a 2028. So in his freshman year, I think his max EV was like 98. And then he got it closer to like 99, like a couple of months after working with me. Of course, we're already like at peak efficiency for his age. He was a 2028 2 years ago. So he's a freshman. So yeah, it was just like really, I think he was going into his freshman year. That's actually when we started working. But he's a catcher. He's hit like 7 home runs between travel ball and high school ball in the year and a half I think he's been in high school ball, which is crazy. He's been playing with like 18U teams, 17U teams, so like he's an absolute baller. And I had the privilege to help him not only like structuring out his physical side, but also he actually escalated to our social media program, where basically I want to help him be branded that much better inside the game of baseball, using social media, of course, through the recruiting process, through the opportunities that we are potentially able to generate through like NIL opportunities. We want to understand what's available to us. And if we completely just like neglect these things that a lot of, even I had a conversation with a student and his dad last night. If we think about like Clemson's head coach or Michigan's head coach, what I'm going to actually just go ahead and do to kind of like prove this point, guys, is pull this up for you guys so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see. Coach Eric Batchick. I forgot how to say it. And he actually, so I think he used to be with Michigan. I did not know that. Wait a second. Okay, so he used to be with Michigan. That makes a lot more sense. That's it. That's just really interesting. I did not know that. Okay, cool. So I'm going to pull this up for you guys just so you know. All right, so this is Eric Batchick. I don't know if I'm saying that right. YouTube free recruiting content, right? That's pretty smart. I don't want to draw comparisons, guys, but like when we're thinking about how he's optimizing his profile, which I do Instagram like audits of profiles all the time. You know, Clemson baseball head coach Eric Batchick, he's verified. He has some links in his bio of what he's got going on. Of course, he's always going to try driving traffic to his camp. But then, like, you know, this is me. Of course, you guys should know who that is. But, like, pretty similar with, like, of course, organized bio, which is something that's just really important. As far as the content, like, this is just really cool because he's a younger guy. He's not too old. He understands social media. But, like, he likes posting this really high-quality content, kind of just, like, showcasing his own players. And this is, like, a guy that I would love to play for because he just seems so chill. But then also, like, things like this, you know, he's talking to the fans. He's interacting. Obviously, that's probably something because he learned through Banana Ball. because they've had some connections with like the fans and things like that. He's had some stuff with Aria, which is this glove brand, which is insane. But he also just posts like good recruiting content. Annual reminder that starting college baseball on Valentine's Day is not needed. So like he's using social media to his advantage. And I think everyone should be doing this if you're a high school baseball player as well, because this helps brand awareness, things like that. Of course, just like that chemistry between player and coach. And I think like this type of content is sweet. Of course, I think more people should be doing it. I could pull up the Michigan guy as well, but basically they're doing things very, very similarly as far as utilizing social media as a vehicle to help them be more aware of, or making themselves more of a brand. Because if we think about it, right, and maybe I might be losing some of you guys on this conversation. If so, maybe I can just like slow it down a little bit. But social media, I love talking social media. So think about that Eric Batchick, right? He's right now currently the head coach at Clemson. Let's say in 4 years, he continues social media. He continues to have that brand awareness over on social media. And let's say he gets the job at LSU, for example, right? If there's a player that's committed to Clemson on that coach's last year and he accepts the job, the head coach accepts the job at the LSU, right? That highly committed player is going to want to transfer because of the connection that he had with that coach, not necessarily to Clemson, right? And it would always be smart of that specific coach to always get that as well. So we need to keep that understanding in mind with everything that we've got going on, right, Coco? She loves eating her ear boogers, or her eye boogers. But we need to understand that like social media helps us see more people, get more visibility. Of course, not only on the social media side of things, but also with the understanding of that like it can help with more opportunities, whether it's that specific college baseball coach getting more opportunities as far as more opportunities to recruit players, or it can be from our perspective, how many opportunities can we have to get recruited? And that's the way that I like to teach my students. We're not trying to be influencers. We're not trying to be the next, Logan Paul or anything like that within the social media side of things. We need to have that understanding of like, why are we doing social media? And ultimately it's to help, get recruited. We want to use social media as the vehicle to help us get recruited. Hopefully that makes sense. By the way, guys, let's do some more player profiles. Yes, absolutely. Owen, I need you to drop everything down below in the chat so Coco and I are able to kind of go over your current situation, your current player profile. But yeah, that's something that I'm going to need out of you. Just send me all over the stuff that I need to be able to go through with this process. And then we'll kind of go everything one by one. Just if you want, if it's quicker, also, Owen, just text me like graduation year, click send. Position, click send. 60-yard dash time, click send. I think that's usually a little bit quicker. But either way, yeah, I'd love to be able to do a player profile. And for anyone that is interested in me doing a player profile, what it typically looks like is just me going over your current stats, your current metrics, and then we're going to just keep rolling out more of this content because you guys seem to really love it, especially on short form. Whenever I do a player profile, I typically like to record it and post it as a reel as well, just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up. I typically keep your guys' names out of it unless you guys like really want me to, shout you guys out. But cool. 2029. I'm gonna need more than that. Okay, there we go. All right, guess the level. We got a 2029 catcher. We got a 78 or 78. Wait. All right, this or that. We got a 2029 catcher with an 88 exit velocity, 76 to 78 from the outfield. No, sorry, 78 as a catcher, and then basically 86 from the outfield. Okay, gotcha. We got a 7.2. 60. So with these current metrics, guessing the level, in my opinion, 2029. So we're talking about a freshman. It's going to be so hard to play out what the next couple of years look like, right? Because obviously development can change very rapidly. For me personally, in between my sophomore and junior years, when I saw the biggest gap or biggest growth I had as a player, in only like 3 or 4 months. So like a lot can change in a short period of time. I would say where we want to focus is always, I mean, 7.2 as a catcher, not terrible. Exit velocity 88, again, not terrible. This is probably like an area that, I mean, as a freshman, if you're able to throw 86 from the outfield, that's pretty solid. But this is what's going to help the pop time that much more. I mean, 203 as a freshman, again, not terrible, dude. So if we can get that pop time, again, over the years, closer to like an 185 to 19, and this is where we want to be around probably junior year. If we can get around there junior year, if we can get the exit velocity around 97 by junior year, if we can get that 60 time to like a 6.8 by junior year, arm velocity maybe like 83 as a catcher by junior year, these are all the things that's going to help us become that much more recruitable. Again, since you're a freshman, it's going to be difficult, but I would say probably like around that D2 plus or minus, you know, a level depending on how the development goes. Again, also how that structure of that development goes, and also most importantly, how the recruiting process goes as well. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We'll keep this rolling. Yeehaw. All right, we got Troy Kim. All right, Troy Kim, let's go. 7.2, 97. Troy Kim. Oh, so Troy Kim, you were, okay. I think I got, okay. A little bit confused here. Okay. All right, guess the level. We have a 2029 catcher with an 82 arm, 92 exit velocity, pop time 206 with a 7.360. So again, 2029, we're talking about a freshman here. 7.3, pretty solid. Again, catching and 60 time, not the most important things as far as a correlation. 92 exit velocity as a freshman, not bad at all. Arm velocity 82, that's really solid. The thing that I'm kind of concerned about, 82 arm, if that's behind the plate on a throwdown, your pop time, in my opinion, should be a way lower. So that's where I would probably be focusing on a little bit more on like that foot quickness, also your transfer, and also your release speed. So these are all things that can dictate that pop time and getting it closer to like a 1.8, 1.9. As you progress throughout your sophomore, junior, and senior year, we will want to get those things quicker. And of course, we need to train a specific way in the gym so that way we can achieve those things. So as far as like a level, like a division level, it's gonna be very, very difficult to say a specific range. But right now, I would just say like D2 because there's so much future on how we can definitely, you know, improve our metrics, improve our structure. But of course, there's gonna be times where those things could also regress because we feel like we're already so high up on the food chain. So keep up the hard work, whoever this is, and keep it going. Holden Flattery, keep up the good work, my man. But yeah, definitely don't ever get into the mindset of I'm already good enough, or I don't have to keep doing this, or whatever the case may be, guys, because those ideas will creep up on you, and I don't want them to ever creep up on you. As I'm a little bit, out of breath a little bit from just speaking so much, guys, if you are a player, go grab your parent. If you're a parent, go grab your player. I'm going to roll a quick little clip about my program. It is a brand new video that you can find on my website. By the way, I just redid my website, so I'm going to shout myself out a little bit for creating a sick website, if you don't mind. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this right now. I think it's sick, so you guys need to make sure that you say it's sick as well. So this is kind of just like the main video that kind of explains everything. I'm wearing the same thing because I recorded this today. I love Lego Mans as well, so I like these little figurines. And then look how like interactive the triple play system is. So that's what my program is all about. And just like go through my website. It's sick. It's in the link in the bio if you're on Instagram. This is what my program is as far as a completely one-on-one online mentorship program. And you know, the numbers don't lie. You know, go through all of my website. You'll see all the proof of what's going on as far as inside my program. And of course, all the college commitments of, you know, them actually playing at that next level, some frequently asked questions, everything that you need to know. If you're skeptical, guys, I have plenty of proof on my website. Quite literally a lot of testimonials. These are all testimonial videos. So yeah, guys, if you are interested, booking a call would be ideally like the next step. That's going to take you over to this page, which is basically where you need to select a time that works for the entire family, because this is a team effort. So like I said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and roll a quick video. That's gonna be the same video actually that you will find in or on the top of that that website. If you guys are interested about what my program's all about, you'll find all the information that you need in this video. So I'll be back on the tail end. If you have a sophomore or junior who dreams of playing college baseball, but you are terrified of wasting maybe another $10,000 on showcases, travel, equipment, camps, all of the above that lead nowhere, the recruiting clock is already ticking. And this is the most important message you'll watch this entire year, so stick around. You already know the stats, but only 7% of high school baseball players make it to college baseball. Yes, 7%. And by junior year, most are already behind him. Parents waste thousands on showcases, hoping a coach will magically notice. College coaches don't sit in the stands taking notes on every random sophomore. They want players with proven metrics. The mental game, the recruiting strategy. And without those three things, your son is invisible. Junior year ends before you know it. And my name is Evan Mendoza. I played 7 years of professional baseball between the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres. I was drafted from NC State University, even appeared in the World Baseball Classic representing Team Columbia, and I've helped over 200 players land offers. And recruiting isn't luck. It's really a system. And most parents learn it a little bit too late. So let's talk about problem number one. Your son's training is completely random. He's probably doing like notes app workout programs where he's writing the program kind of based off of YouTube videos, TikTok videos, Instagram videos, whatever the case may be. And his mentality, that's completely neglected. A lot of high school baseball players, and this is really problem number two, you neglect your son's mentality. Of course, making sure that he has those frameworks to overcome the many struggles that I've, of course, faced in the game of baseball. Problem number three is you have no recruiting roadmap, and you can't fix one without the others. And that's why I built the triple play system, built specifically for sophomores and juniors. And let's go over one by one. So physical development, this is training that ultimately will move the needle. We have workout programs written by a New York Mets strength coach, and of course they are baseball specific, but what you guys are doing right now is kind of just a complete scatter, and there's no structure behind it. As far as on the mental development, you have to have daily accountability that builds these habits that pros, of course, have, or that D1 athletes have. As far as on the recruiting strategy, your son learns or ultimately to recruit himself. And most programs give you maybe just like drills, and they kind of do what I refer to as the Band-Aid approach. You can't put a Band-Aid on a leaky pipe because there's going to be a point in time where that leaky pipe, outgrows that Band-Aid. We give you the system. Your son launches recruiting in 14 days, and this isn't a course that you're going to forget. This isn't some cheap PDF or a YouTube video. It's a system he lives inside of. And this is real parents, real players, and real results. Sayori, the mom of Hugo, one of my students from Japan, Coach Evan changed everything for Hugo. Santiago, I'm fired up to work every day. And expanded on that quote, I remember Santiago told me he's excited to do that extra work beyond the team practices. And of course, we need to do that extra work beyond team practices to see that difference. Having you in my corner has been game-changing. That was from Landon from California. And we really have two ways to help our players. Which path depends on really his metrics and where he's currently at in the whole timeline, which is a reason why we need to speak together to just make sure that we map out the correct game plan. Path number one, that's called the triple play. That's what you may have already heard a little bit about. That's done with you. We give you the complete system. Your son executes it kind of like a robot, right? When I transitioned from high school to college, the biggest thing that I saw is we had a strength coach that wrote those programs, and us, the athletes, and this continued, of course, in professional baseball, we, the athletes, are to execute. We are to be robots, quite literally, and do the work that's prescribed to us. So we coach your son through all of that. He learns the recruiting inside and out. That's really going to be perfect for those sophomores building their foundation, sometimes even freshman year as well. The second path, this is going to be a little bit different. So this is going to be the full ride framework, and that's completely done for you. And I personally handle, I personally handle every part of his recruiting campaign. I build all the recruiting assets professionally done. So there's no like messy slobber like what's happening probably right now for you guys. I contact these college coaches directly for you and your son. We're going to be sending out hundreds of emails as your player. So I'm not going to be sending them out by like my email, we're actually going to go ahead and start from the absolute ground up. We're going to create a Gmail together. You will have access, we will have access, and of course that's going to be how we reach out to these college coaches on your son's behalf. There's going to be live dashboards that track every coach that's been contacted, and really that's going to be perfect for really that junior ready to get recruited now. And of course you understand that you don't want to be playing your senior season with that weight on your back. This is what makes this one a no-brainer. So if you do not earn a baseball scholarship in 12 months, you get 100% of your money back. And that's because I feel so incredibly confident in everything that we do, and especially, the qualified individuals that come to us, right? We're not gonna make this offer for someone that is throwing 32 miles an hour off the mound, right? You have to qualify for us, and again, that is the reason why we need to hop on a Zoom call. And every single penny would be returned back over to you. And of course, we only accept those players with those metrics that make sense. If your son is in the ballpark of any of these metrics, that's good. Of course, we want to get a better understanding of where his mind is at, which we can, again, only do on a Zoom call. And getting him noticed isn't necessarily the hard part from our standpoint. And that's what I do. For those 11th graders with proven physical metrics, that's going to be that full ride framework prerequisite. So that's just something that I want you guys to be completely transparent about, or I want to be completely transparent about you guys. For those sophomores, or maybe you don't meet those metrics, that's totally fine. That's going to be where we build out that foundation from the first place inside the triple play. And that's exactly what that is designed for. We build him up to those metrics so that way recruiting becomes that much easier. Then he's ready for that full ride framework. And are you tired of wasting, money or time on these endless showcases in summer ball, whatever the case may be? This is what the triple play is ultimately for, and for the parents especially. So if you want a real plan for sophomore and junior year of high school, want recruiting handled maybe potentially for you guys completely, where those conversations are delivered to your doorstep. And by the way, guys, I want to make sure that this is very, very clear. This is not for some type of like magic pill or magic button. If you're looking for that magic fix for everything that you've got going on, we are probably not a good fit. Players who don't want to do the work, yes, we're going to give you everything on the recruiting side, especially if we're talking about the full ride framework, but your player or you have to pull in the other end of the bargain. Of course, you need to be doing the correct work that we prescribe to you, so that way those metrics turn into the player that we can easily recruit. Of course, parents who just complain about politics, if you are a parent and you're complaining about playing time, politics, and you think that is the answer or the solution, we need to look at ourselves in the mirror, because if at the end of the day our ego is hurt based off of these conversations about politics or playing time, we need to look at ourselves in the mirror, ultimately saying to ourselves, or really our player having that conversation, okay, so what can we do about it? And of course, there's a lot to be done if you want to separate yourself from the rest of the competition. So if that is you, again, this is not going to work if you're blaming everything on politics or playing time or, basically daddy ball, whatever the case may be, right? I can't guarantee necessarily a scholarship. And I want to, of course, translate that the best that I can. No one can technically guarantee anything. I can guarantee that I'm going to show up for your son every single day. There is that part of the guarantee, because I know what I'm going to be able to hold up on my end, right? But of course, your son's going to have to do the work and, of course, keep that consistency to keep progressing into a D1 caliber talent. But I can guarantee you guys this. Your son will improve his metrics, he will strengthen his mental game, and he will learn how to recruit himself. He'll have a real shot at college baseball, and that's really all we can ask for because of the slim chances of playing college baseball. Of course, if your son is doing the work before even talking to us, as we're talking to each other, and of course, that's going to make the recruiting side that much easier. If this is not a hope, it's a real shot at playing college baseball. There are limited spots available every single month that we work with. So once we're full, and I can't spread my bandwidth any thinner than basically 5 students every month or 2 per quarter. And I'll get into that a little bit more. So here's what's happened next. You can click the button down below this video, fill out that short little application attached to the calendar. And if you're qualified, you can go ahead and schedule your eligibility review. If this is by the way, I just want to translate this very effectively to you guys. This is not information that, we're going to hop on a call and give you a bunch of information. Believe it or not, after you schedule your call, I'm going to send you literally loads of information. So that way you can do that research beforehand. So that way we can really build out a game plan for your son. We're not here to meet up and just basically tell you guys everything that we do. Again, that's what that pre-call checklist that we're going to send over to you guys, so you can do that research beforehand so we can have an effective and efficient conversation. This is a real eligibility review. We have turned down
plenty of players because of the simple fact that their mind is not in the right place. Again, we can't do this through text. We can't understand where your son's mind is currently at through text or through a phone call with you individually. We need to understand where the player's mind is at, because if the player doesn't want to play college baseball, then we're not going to force him to do anything that he doesn't want to do. And we're going to map out what he needs to do. And this is a no pressure environment. There's no games, guys. I'm just going to give you that clarity on what's going to be expected, what those potential next steps could look like if that game plan makes sense for you guys. And again, another reason is because there's those two paths, especially as a parent. Of course, there's path one. You can keep doing what you've been doing. Waste another maybe $10,000 between travel ball, between private hitting coaches, equipment, camps, showcases, another recruiting profile like NCSA. Guys, you don't need another recruiting profile because you're not driving any traffic to it. You need to understand the system on how to get that attention, get those impressions, and get that exposure from college coaches. So that way, your son would basically stay invisible to these college coaches if you choose path one. If we choose path two, we give him a proven system to follow, real accountability, real recruiting strategy, and a real shot, again, at the only thing that we can really wish for, to play college baseball. So the choice is yours. Sophomore and junior year, guys, from my own personal experience, when I was through the college recruiting process, it goes by like a blink of an eye. It flies by. So down below, you can go ahead and apply to get started. And just a reminder, limited spots are available this month. If you have a sophomore or junior who dreams of playing college baseball.
We are back, and it looks like I'm wearing the same exact thing, but I did record that video earlier today. But we'll go through a couple more player profiles, and we'll wrap up here in about 5 to 10 minutes. So if you guys want me to go over a player profile, feel free to ask. By the way, Tristan, not able to kind of do those types of things. I get asked quite frequently. So it kind of turns into a snowball effect if that's the case. As far as can I help your 7-year-old, that's not really the age range of who I help with. So let's get into another player profile. All right. Guess the level. We got a 2026 shortstop right-handed pitcher. And we got 95 exit velocity, 88 arm. I feel like we've done someone like this. Okay, 6'3". Holy cow. 95 exit velocity. Yeah, I mean, that's right-handed pitcher. Yeah, this is a true athlete, right? 6'3", 60, 95 exit velocity. I don't know height or weight, but I don't really even care. 88 across the diamond, I would assume, or off the mound. Either way, both are really great. I would say there has to be something terribly wrong that's happening in the recruiting process for this player not to go D1. In my opinion, yes, you can complain about the transfer portal being that much more complicated and this, that, and the other, but with these metrics, college coaches still want talented baseball players at the high school level. So you need to understand, if we're not going D1 with these types of metrics, we're messing up on the off-the-field activities. And that could be a bad social media presence, by the way. Like if you're not doing that the right way, that could be an area that's hurting you, not helping you. But most importantly, the off-the-field things that I'm talking about is making sure that these college coaches know who you are and that they know that you exist, so that way you don't remain invisible. Looks like Coco's trying to like open the door. She's learning new skills. Oh. All right. Let's keep it going. All right, guess the level. We got a 2030 outfield right-handed pitcher, 88 exit velocity, 85 arm velocity. Holy cow, is it 2030? And a 6'7"? No, that, all right. So I hope you're running a 6'7" as a 2030. That is really exciting. Also, exit velocity 88. Like, I need to meet this kid because I want to introduce him to Scott Boras. Holy cow. So if we keep this projection going, right? The big thing when we're talking about younger athletes is, can we continue that projection, right? Because right now we're projecting easy D1, possibly like MLB draft, right? If we continue to progress, right? If we just stagnate right here. We have plateaued not only on the physical development in the gym, but also like if we max out our senior year at 90 miles an hour exit velocity, for example, we didn't figure out the solution to keep progressing. And that's what these college coaches and pro scouts want to see. If our arm maxes out at 87 miles an hour our senior year, we're not doing the right things. If our 60 time remains 6.7, that's not going to be good either, right? We need to showcase to these college coaches and pro scouts that we are continuously progressing. So yes, the projection right now is pretty high, but a lot of things can change in the next 4 or 5 years. So keep up the hard work. Don't plateau, because a lot of players that think they're too good to do the hard work day in and day out and staying consistent, those are the players that ultimately fall off. And I have seen it happen so many times in my 7-year pro career, in my 3 years at the D1 level. There were players so much better than me in high school, but I continuously outworked them throughout college. And of course, I was the one that had those opportunities to be able to play college or be able to play pro ball, where those players typically faded out because of the partying and all the fun stuff that could happen in college. Where I put my head down, I continuously worked, and of course it paid off. All right. We'll go with one more player profile, and then we'll wrap it up, guys. This has been great. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. These are obviously just a great way to be able to interact with you guys and making sure that I'm giving you guys just my internal thoughts on certain players and where they're currently at. And like I said, we'll do one more, and then we'll just start to wrap things up. All right, Jason, we'll do yours real quick. All right, guess the level. We got a 2027 first base, third base, right-handed pitcher with a 7.7, 60 with an arm velo of 88, exit velocity around 100. Okay, fastball 83 to 85, topping 86 or so. So yeah, I mean, with 2027, we're talking about a junior in high school. So junior, this is when recruiting has officially, started. We're talking about more of a corner infielder, pitcher, two-way type player. A 7.7 60, this is going to be the downfall, right? We need to be more athletic for these college coaches to really want us. Of course, we are playing a corner infield, so we don't need to be that much more athletic. But of course, if we're playing a corner position, we need to rely heavily on our hitting tool to be there, and not only just as a contact ability, but for a power ability. And by all means, the 100 exit velocity, that's where we want to be. That is great. That's amazing. But I don't want players that have to rely on one skill to carry them throughout college or through the recruiting process or potentially in pro baseball, right? So having that athletic feature in a player profile is only going to help, never is going to hurt. As far as the arm velocity, 88, I know you mentioned around like 83 to 86, topping out at 88. If he tops out at 88, of course say that, because of course it sounds better, but that's also what he's topped out at. So most coaches know when you see a number, subtract maybe 2 or 3, and that's what they're going to typically sit. For me, I topped out at 91 in high school off of the mound, but I was typically sitting 86 to 88, right? So it's pretty common, and that's what everyone will see. As far as with where we're currently at right now with some of these metrics, I would say probably D2 plus or minus, right? Because I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not a college baseball coach, and I've never tried to be. I just want to, probably address that right there. The 60-yard dash, the more athletic we can showcase to these coaches, the better off we'll be. And by all means, I don't love the 60-yard dash as a true testament on how athletic the player is, because I ran a 7.460 my senior year of high school, and I was playing middle infield at the professional ranks. I was playing shortstop. So that doesn't technically add up because I had really good first step quickness, good lateral quickness, things like that. So, but just because we're talking about a first baseman, third baseman, and a 7.7 60, I would assume maybe a little bit of a bigger frame. The power component's good, but we don't want to necessarily rely too heavily on it. But yeah, I would say probably around that D2 level. If we continuously progress, just like I said for the last individual, we can't just stagnate thinking that we're gifted D2, because of course the D2 level is still a very high level to be able to play at. All right, last question, and then we'll wrap up. What workouts should I start for pitching and hitting as a freshman? a lot of plyometrics, a lot of rotational strength. That's kind of a loaded question because, of course, there's many ways that we can go about it, especially in the gym, to make sure that what we're doing in the gym translates over to the field. That's something that I help out with all my students. If you guys are interested in working one-on-one with me, you can always click the link down below in the description on Instagram, on YouTube. If you're on Instagram, click the link in my bio, apply to work together. Watch the video that maybe you guys already saw, but watch that full video so you get a full understanding of who I am and what I do. But until next time, I'll see you again. What I like to always just remind you guys of, I'm here weekdays, 7 o'clock. Oh my goodness. I'm here weekdays, 7 o'clock Eastern. Today was episode 46 of the Mendoza Line, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
You can give him guidance, and he can always ask questions to you. I could see how he became more confident after talking to you every time. You are always there when he needs. I think it's really important to know or be told from someone professional like you.
It was a completely new experience for us. I think we were skeptical. We dove into some of the content. We realized how good it was and the quality of it. The way that you kind of worked with him and you set expectations for him, like, hey, these are the things I'm expecting from you, and that was a big part of why we enjoy the program as well.
The program has made me like a little eagerness to go out and do something and not just like wait for the team practice and do things on my own.
As his dad, I can tell him till I'm blue in the face that this needs to be done. And sometimes it doesn't resonate coming from the dad. Sometimes it needs to come from a pro ball player.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. You can just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
I definitely recommend joining it. It's awesome. The community's great. Having you there to support you is incredible, and overall love the program.
You get the full structure. You get your lifting, you get your arm velocity, you get your mechanics, you get your hitting, and the hands-on approach from you.
Infield velo was 68 or something like that. It was not good. My 60-yard dash was 7.7, which is not good. And I was not very mobile. I wasn't very strong. I mean, I'm a big kid, but a lot of it was just like from my size. My infield velo now is 80, and my 60-yard dash is 7.0.
It's insane. What was the